Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the south-afrifur podcast. This is Ivik coming to you guys live from South Africa. We have our special guest here from Belfast, Ireland, Mr. Caenish. Caenish, could you say hello?
Hello.
There we go. And obviously from us, our co-hosts, we have Anpu and Scratch.
Yo.
And yeah, welcome
Yes.
to the furry podcast. We're going to be speaking to Caenish about a couple of things today. One of the big things is that he recently went to ScotiaCon. How was that?
Pretty good. It was the first time I've been to a smaller convention, so it was different from the likes of Confuzzled.
Mm-hmm.
But I still enjoyed it a lot. I definitely recommend it.
Okay, and like, I mean, sort of, obviously it's a smaller con, so, but how many people were there?
I think it was about 150 was the final. 150, I don't know. It was less than 200 anyway.
Uh-huh.
But whereas you compare it to Confuzzled, it's like about 1,000 now, I think they have. So it's a fair difference.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to, like, I mean, you've been to a bigger con now, you've been to a smaller con as well. What do you think is there any kind of difference in what people do because of the number of people there, or was it pretty much exactly the same as to, in respect to, you know, con attendance and whatnot?
In some ways, I kind of like the smaller con because there were less events on, but it meant you had more chill out time, like during the day, rather than like being like, I want to go to this event, I want to go to that event, and then being so tired by the end of the day, you're just like, I can't do any more events. At least I was like that with Confuzzled, whereas at ScotiaCon it was more, oh, there's nothing going on, but that's cool. I could do it just sitting here and just relaxing and like talking to people.
Okay.
Yeah, I can imagine something like Anthrocon or... Sorry, Anpu, go ahead.
I actually imagine that being sometimes a little bit more fun than to chase down events that happens at the same time. I saw people that says they leave panels sometimes halfway so that they're at both panels at the same time.
I can imagine something like Anthrocon or Confuzzled that tries to fit so much into a schedule. This is a con that you're trying to, like the big events that you're trying to attend to, and then you just like miss out on half the shit just trying to get from point A to point B, I would imagine.
Yeah. Was it an indoor and an outdoor con?
Indoor. It was in a hotel.
Okay. All right. I'm not necessarily sure, but have there ever been cons where, you know, it is an indoor con, but there's an outdoor event, somewhere within the city that's going on?
Not at any convention I've been to, although Confuzzled did have the motor furs thing, and the furs parade did take place outside the hotel slightly, but it wasn't in the town. It was just sort of slightly outside the hotel.
Okay.
But no, I've never been to a convention like that.
How many fursuiters were there?
Oh, that's a good question. I couldn't honestly answer. Maybe, I don't know, about 30 to 50% of the people at the convention.
That's actually really good. A really high number for...
Yeah, it seemed like there was a lot, but it could have just been, I don't know. It's hard. It was hard to tell, like, because you don't see them all at once, usually. So it was... And I kind of missed like the closing ceremony where there was like the group fursuit photo because I had to fly back home. So I didn't actually get to see how many there was total.
Okay, where is ScotiaCon? Obviously, Nova Scotia?
No, in Scotland. It's in... Oh god, what's the place? It's just outside Edinburgh. I can't even remember the name of the place. It's like 20 minutes outside of Edinburgh. What was it called? I don't even remember the name of the town. Livingstone, that's it.
Livingstone?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just outside of Edinburgh. It was like we took a taxi. It was about 20 minutes, so it's convenient enough from the airport. And I guess for trains, like most people probably took a train there, but we had to fly across the sea.
Because you guys don't have a channel tunnel yet.
No, not between Ireland and England, sadly. It's either
I think
flying or boats.
it's France and England. That's the only tunnel that I know of.
Yeah,
is that
no, it is
big.
that
Yeah.
channel. Whoop-de-doo. You could have taken a boat.
Could have.
Is there any?
No.
Sorry. Is there any uh, d- uh, conventions of that scale in Ireland itself that has like the same amount of people almost that you guys saw? Because it's sometimes when it's that amount of people, it's actually not a full blast convention. It's more like a get together with more social events rather than
Well, 150
like
would
you
be a
said.
convention.
Yeah, it is a convention, but like what I mean is it's a little bit more chilled out. And I'm wondering if there's any of those specific small ones that exist in Ireland.
Like a week, sort of a monthly get together or something like that, or is that what you mean?
There's conventions here, but nothing furry related really. It's just mostly gaming, anime, the usual sort of things, like the big sort of stuff. But as for furry things, it's like there'd be the occasional meet, and that's about it. With about a dozen people, it's like there's just not a presence here really.
For it. Yeah, no, it's funny because you would say the same sort of thing about our country, but yet a group of us still actually trying to do the convention. And I'm wondering about Ireland because I think it's easy for you guys because you have access to Britain, sort of, which isn't that far, but it's actually quite a long flight. How long is the flight from Ireland to the place that you were?
The actual flight was only about 40 minutes, but the whole airport security is like far longer than the flight.
Yeah, the whole airport process of a freaking getting on a plane is 2-3 hours worth of shit. Yeah.
With the stuff
Yeah.
that can be avoided. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
But,
a train ride would have been fun, though. Think like a cross the channel and then hop onto a train, probably about a 5-6 hour train ride. Sounds like a lot of fun. I think that would be fun. I know that Unsi would say that that'd be fun too.
I like trains.
Speaking of train rides, I actually remember being told about some sort of game developer meet-up thing. It's a sort of game jam. Yeah, it's called the Train Jam. Basically, people take a train from, I don't know, somewhere to one of the big conventions like GDC. It's either pre-GDC or post-GDC. That a bunch of people like book out a train and then spend like 2 or 3 days on the train just like doing a game jam legitimately on the train on the way to or from like that big convention, which I think sounds freaking awesome.
Or a road trip.
Yeah.
Same thing. Except you can't sit the way you do in a train. You have to sit with your seatbelt tight.
Yeah, and
There
you can't really code in a car. I tried.
Well, I mean, there's obviously coach, or like not the coaches, but there's like the food the food places and whatnots.
And yeah, well, there's usually enough room on the what's his name, the sleeper cars have desks and stuff to work on, or at least fold away desks.
Yeah, but that's something interesting. Is who here can actually read while not driving a car, driving in a car or a bus, because most people actually get seriously nauseous.
No, I can.
I can.
So can I.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so it's
No.
just me.
Is it just you? Axel?
No, I know
Yeah.
I know my
No.
flatmate gets like ridiculously nauseous in the car. And
Oh,
I
Yeah,
can't
my
read.
sister does.
I can't read the first 2 pages of a book, then I'm sick.
Yeah, he basically can't read a paragraph, then he starts getting sick in a car.
Queasy.
No,
It has something to do with your balance. I think it's you're out of balance around turns and whatnot, and if you're not focusing on the road, it's the same way that they say when you're ever on a boat, you have to, if you get nauseous, you have to keep your eyes on the horizon. I'm probably one of those people that would get seriously sick on a cruise line. I've never been on a cruise liner, but I've been on a boat a couple of times in the middle of the ocean, and actually it does start hitting me a little bit.
yeah, no, it gets bad sometimes.
Are there any ferries that transfer between Ireland and Scotland?
Like,
Like those that you can load a car on, etc.
I could drive over myself. Like, there is a ferry, and like I could like take the car myself. But unless you're taking a lot of people, it would probably work out more expensive than flying.
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
No, no, I'm just
Yeah.
thinking.
Huh.
Yeah, because they don't actually tax us in flights to the mainland of the rest of the UK because it's sort of like the only way to get there.
Oh, okay.
So they don't actually charge an excess tax on the flights out.
That's kind of
Which is-
cool at least.
Yeah,
How many
like,
active? Sorry, go.
no, I was just going to say, like, whereas taking the car and like a ferry would probably cost you about 40-50 quid, flying costs maybe about £20.
Do you drive on the left hand or the right side of the road in Ireland? Left side.
On the- yeah.
Okay, so you're still on the same side then, because it's weird if let's say you transfer your car like from from anywhere else in Europe or you take the French tunnel, let's say, from Europe mainland to the island, then all of a sudden you have to drive on the other side of the road.
Yeah, I've never had to do that myself, thankfully. I don't know if it would be kind of confusing, I think, just to sort of switch from one side to the other side.
Yeah, it's annoying. I just don't get it how people can drive a left-hand drive car on the right side of the road because you can't see, you can't pass anybody. It must be terrible.
My dad used to be able to do that. We had a old, I think it was a 1995 or 1996 Volvo, yeah, with the steering on the right-hand side, and yeah.
And then he drove on our roads.
Yeah, he drove on our roads and he was fine. He did everything. He was able to do whatever he needed to do. Yeah, it's not that big an adaptation. But I mean, as far as I remember, there was a point that somebody told me that right-hand drive cars are actually illegal in South Africa nowadays.
I'm not surprised to be dead honest.
It wouldn't surprise me because you can't see when you're wanting to pause somebody, right? You can't see beyond that person. You have to wait until you can see. And no, I've driven in Holland before, not entirely legally, but with a person in the car. But I drove in Holland before, and it wasn't that difficult to get used to it. It's just the way. You know what the worst thing is when you come to a traffic circle and you have to go the right way around, and they have a lot of traffic circles. And the traffic circles also are completely different from the way ours work. Instead of you just go in. There's no
Right of way.
give way or anything. Right of way. Inside the traffic circle, the right of way exists. Right, so you have to stop for cars coming in, which is really the reverse of what I'm used to.
Oh, that's weird. Oh,
But do you guys also have like weird traffic circles like those ones in Europe, or not in Europe, in London specifically? Because I saw a picture once of the world's most complex roundabout.
yeah, that one with like the 5 entrances and exits.
Yes, with like 5 roundabouts in it.
Yeah, we have some crazy road designs that just don't make sense, but it's not as bad as in England. England's just insane, especially London. It is very
Are your roads also that narrow?
No, not really. They're actually some of them are very narrow, but usually it's only like way out in the country, like around the city, around Belfast. It's like most of the roads are okay, like. Yeah,
because I just don't get how accident just doesn't happen there every freaking minute that you look because of those narrow roads.
Yeah, Claremont's just as freaking. The roads are ridiculous in there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, back to fluffy things.
Yay.
I was going to talk about. I was actually going to ask Caenish a bit earlier. Like, I mean, how big is your sort of like the Northern Ireland group? Say in comparison to, I don't know, England or maybe Scotland. How big is it in comparison to Scotland's, or in that case, Ireland?
I would say it's definitely smaller. I mean, Scotland, you're probably talking, I think their fur meats average 20 to 30, whereas ours, you're lucky, you might get 10 to 12, so probably about half the size. But it's just the difficulty is just getting people interested and finding interesting things to do.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people don't want to just come and just hang out in somewhere. But
Oh, you can. How often do you guys do bowling?
a few times a year, but I don't like to do it too often because then it just gets, if like anything, if you do it too much, it gets boring.
And yeah, well,
Use your words.
hanging out in a bar.
I
It
love
depends. It's usually coffee. A lot of people like would go to a coffee shop and then later we move to a bar because we don't want to be alcoholics that sit in the bar from 12 till forever.
Well, you should come to South Africa sometime because I think on some occasions I've actually managed to
Like,
do exactly that.
yep. Basically, like arrive before and leave after the staff.
Yeah, something along the lines of that. I've closed several bars.
Nice.
Closed, not opened.
Well,
No,
10
that's
o'clock?
yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. I mean, I can understand like breakfast at Bohemia, quote unquote, but I don't close the thing up after that. Like, damn son.
No, if you can, I think when it comes to like sort of furry get-togethers, we have like 4 or 5 people that sometimes come up this side. We start out at around about 4. We finish at about 3 a.m.
Okay. That's... Ours was more along the lines of like noon, 1 p.m., and they sort of taper off about 7 or 8 because people just sort of get tired or something. Plus, the public transport here is awful, so people need buses and trains.
Yeah.
Like,
So there's no real place to like sort of crash or anything like that.
not really. Like, I can put a few people up, but like, I can't put up, loads of people.
Uh-huh.
It's lots of people have to travel like an hour or 2 hours just to get to Belfast. Like I say, like everybody's just so spread out. With regards to transport.
Well, I mean, have you ever thought of getting like maybe a small bed and breakfast together and then just sort of like putting people up there? I mean, obviously you say 10 to 10 at most, but I'm pretty sure that like, is it always the same customers or the same sort of like faces, or is it sort of different people every single time?
It's a bit of both. There's a few regulars that you would see, and then you get people who just sort of drop in and then never see them again. So it's like, who are you? Where did you come from? Why did you go away? It's like they just sort of appear and disappear.
Yeah.
How did Northern Ireland first come to existence?
Like, who started the whole thing?
Like the furry community?
Yeah, Northern Ireland first.
Let me think. I've sort of taken the reins of it for the past 5 or 6 years, maybe. But before then, a few other people sort of tried, but it always sort of tapered off. Yeah, I would say maybe about 10 years total. It's sort of been a thing. Like, I've known of like people here in Northern Ireland for about 10 years, but as of meets, they've only been happening regularly for about the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, at least they're happening. You can be proud about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, they're small, but they do happen, and they're fairly regular.
Yeah.
Sort of once a month or how?
Yeah, usually about once a month. Sometimes you miss a month, but it usually is about once a month, yeah. So.
What about trying to do like sort of like a quarterly bowling sort of challenge between the Irish furs and the Northern Irish furs?
That would be an idea, but again, the difficulty is getting it organized. Like, I know that Belfast meets are sort of regular, but with the southern furs, they're a lot more. Their meets aren't so much okay in a month's time. You know, well, this is the date about a month in advance. They sort of pick it like, oh, let's hang out this weekend. That's like it's really hard to sort of, you know, do. Like I sort of, particularly for like getting the train, I do sort of need like a day or two's notice rather than just like, oh, who wants to do something tomorrow? It's like, oh, the train's like really expensive to Dublin. It's actually cheaper for me to fly like to Scotland than it is to get the train to Dublin for some strange reason.
What the hell? Okay. Is there a plane to Dublin?
Nope.
Can you swim?
It's. I wouldn't need to swim to Dublin. Yeah, like I say, the public transport here is just all kinds of stupid.
Yeah. We
Well.
know that. We know of that.
Yeah.
No, we don't. We don't have public transport. So
No, we do.
don't have-
If you haven't tried Cape Town's public transport, then you haven't tried transport from South Africa yet.
Yeah.
It's a very
Yeah, the My
system.
Cities are doing well.
That's our bus system.
Yeah. BRT. Yeah.
So I mean, like, and isn't it kind of like difficult to sort of, or not difficult, but I mean, isn't it a little depressing to not be able to sort of get the meets to become bigger and things like that?
Yeah, it can be because it's sort of frustrating whenever you're like, I'm going to try and do this thing and maybe people will be interested, and then nobody's interested. It's like, why do I even bother? But it's sort of just like, just keep going, and you know, they're small but regular. It's like I'm okay with that.
So in your group of people, you also notice that there's a lot of diversity between what people like to do and what they don't do, mainly because the community is smaller.
Yeah,
you notice the diversity a little bit more. Like it would be possible for you to actually like something that nobody else likes. We have that here.
Yeah,
I'm busy talking about his love for roller coasters.
Yeah, it was one time where I said, let's go to Retango Junction, and everybody didn't want to go, but actually a lot of people didn't anyways.
Yeah, it was a fun day.
And then the weather turned shit, and we had to go away.
Yeah, but we got our money back, so we spent it on drinks.
nice.
Yeah.
It's sort of hard to find something that everybody will enjoy, which is why like some people are sort of okay just sitting talking shit in a bar or whatever, and some people are like, bowling's fun, but then you get people who don't like either of these activities. It's like I'm out of ideas. That's about all there is to do.
Yeah. No,
But at least you can have green beer. No, actually you have that on St. Patrick's Day.
Do you guys have like a St. Paddy's Day meet?
Not really. It's
I mean, is it
believe it or not, it's more an American thing, I think.
Yeah, I was about to ask how big. How big is St. Patrick's Day over there? Probably not that enormous.
No, they have events for it, but it's not like America has bigger events, and not just because it's a bigger country. Like I'm talking like
Because it's America.
Yeah, they just sort of like take other cultures and like, this is ours.
They always have to make it bigger and better, dude. Always make it bigger and better. Sorry for all the Americans, but it's true. I mean, you go to America and you'll see the biggest freaking roller coasters, the biggest buildings, the biggest everything. It's an ego thing.
The biggest pizzas, the biggest everything.
The biggest hamburgers, the biggest Cokes, and St. Patrick's Day. But you do color that river red, I think. Or
No,
was that?
No, again, that's Chicago or something.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's all them. Like they always have to outdo everyone and everything.
Wow. Well, actually, it would be funny to see like what they did to like Africa stuff. They probably do Africa better than Africa. There's probably more lions and stuff there than there is here.
Well, not free roaming ones at that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
They probably have a lot more lions in their zoos than we do because they import them like goodness knows what.
We don't really have zoos. We have like habitats and shit.
No, we've got like what's it, 3 or 4 zoos, 5 zoos that I know of.
I haven't
so
been
far,
on
7.
I haven't been in one. Like
There's the Tigerberg Zoo. There's the near you, although that's it's an unfortunate
excuse.
it's an excuse for a zoo. I remember my sister actually went there on some sort of excursion for high school. That was a couple of years back. But one of the things that she had said is that the cages were deplorable. You had large roaming animals in extremely small enclosures, and yet the person who owned the place was driving around in a brand new Bucky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit of it's not necessarily a good zoo. But however, you've got a good aquarium.
Yeah, no, the aquarium's really nice.
So, Caenish, I mean, like, when it comes to sort of like the diversity of furry, what do you call it, species down that side, how many dragons are there aside from you?
There's a couple. Thinking offhand, there's at least 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
Out
of 10?
I think the most. I don't, no,
Sorry.
like just that I can think of offhand. With regards to others, it's the usual sort of like canines and cats are the other common, or very common. I can't think of any particularly unusual.
One of the more interesting things that we've been noticing here in South Africa is that the younger furs are tending to bring in a lot more, I think, traffic to our forum. On a sort of like on a percentage basis, how many of your furries who've recently started joining are around about under 18 that are actually doing that sort of actively?
Yeah, that's definitely seems to be the same case here. We have a lot of people who are still in school, like high school, 16, basically our mates are 16 plus sort of, and you get a lot of people coming to them and bringing their friends that are around the same age, so there is a disproportionately, like 16 to 20 seems to be very, like, there is a lot of people that are that age, as opposed to people 20 plus, and then 30 plus, it's very, I can't think of anybody really that goes regularly. Excuse me.
No problem.
But yeah, that's definitely the sort of main age is like 16 to early 20s, I find.
And those furs that are there, do they tend to stick around for a long time, or do they sort of fade away after they hit 18 to 20?
Yeah, they tend not to stick around, I've noticed. It's like, they'll sort of, I think they're just sort of coming to it to sort of see what it's about, and then there's like, I don't know. There's a lot of people just sort of, like I say, just don't bother with the meets because it's just not their thing. There's a lot of people just sort of, you'll see online, talk to them all the time online, but trying to get them to, hang out is just an impossible task. You'd be sooner getting blood out of a stone.
Right.
Because I mean, that's always an interesting thing to look at. As obviously, the younger the furs are, the more difficult it is for them to tell their parents, "Hey, I'm going to Belfast for a meetup. Could you please drive me there, or drive me to the nearest train station, or blah blah blah?" And then the parents are going like, "Hey, what exactly is this about?"
Yeah. Also,
They'll
these are people you've never seen before.
Yeah.
I met them online.
And some of them are 25 to 27, and suddenly people start going, rape!
Yeah, the alarm bells start ringing.
Yeah.
Ugh. It's hard to explain that stuff.
Well, I mean, it's hard to explain the fact that you're meeting up with people who are like 10 years your senior.
That's true.
Yeah, I think that's sort of why a lot of them only sort of show up once or twice and then not again, because it's like they probably run out of excuses to sort of be like, "Oh, this is where I'm going here." But
and you guys have an go?
Sorry. Oh, yeah, but like you said, it's just not everybody's thing as well. I mean, not everybody likes to go to all these places or meets, especially when there's going to be a lot of people involved they don't know. So I can understand why a lot of people would just say no.
Yeah, Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's the entire thing. I mean, like they should, and that's I think maybe that's sort of like a success in the South African side. This is that a lot of the people tend to meet and understand and get to know people through the WhatsApp groups, the Facebook groups, the south-afrifur forum, um, and like start communicating amongst one another. Hell, I don't know how many people have actually started dating just by talking to people online, and like that's sort of like where I'm coming to. Like Caenish, I know that you guys have an IRC channel. What's it?
Yeah.
Hashtag NIFurs.
I think there's an NI first, there's an Irish first. Not a lot of people don't use IRC anymore. This
Yeah.
main group seem to be there's a Skype group and a Telegram group.
Mm-hmm.
Those are sort of the two ones that people seem to be on. Like, with regards to the Skype group, how many people do we actually have in it? Just out of curiosity, there's 82 participants. No, I haven't even met half of them, and that's all across. Like,
Because I mean, like 82 sort of semi-active furs is quite a number, and it's weird that only 10 of them would pitch up. Especially, I mean, what exactly is the size of Northern Ireland? Like sort of ballparking.
it's not huge. Like, you could probably drive across it in like about 3 hours, but there's a lot of people who would live like in that group. Like, that's just like all of Ireland. That's not just Northern Ireland. That group is all of Ireland. So you've got people from like Cork, and it's about 5 or 6 hours away. So it's not feasible for them to travel all the way up here for a few hours just to go back.
Well, I mean, like having you say that you guys do bowling twice a year. Isn't there a possibility that you could try to have a big meet twice a year, once in Ireland, once in Northern Ireland?
Yeah, that's like the big thing we tend to do every year is the zoo. We tend to go to the zoo like once a year, and that's our big day out.
What happens if it rains?
We still go anyway because you expect rain in this country constantly.
Fair point.
So everybody just goes with an umbrella and hopes that it doesn't rain because nobody likes being wet.
Yeah, basically you just go and hope it doesn't rain, but are prepared in case it does.
What kind of animals do you guys have at your zoo?
There's quite a variety. There's trying to think. I'm just trying to walk myself through it. You've got like seals, penguins, lions, tigers, bears. Oh my.
Bear.
No, but you do have. There's quite a variety. Yeah. There's some zebras, giraffes, elephants. I think there's like a red panda, but you never see it because it always hides in the trees.
Do you guys have an aviary that side?
Oh yeah. There's an aviary as well. There's plenty of birds. There's a gorilla house, chimpanzees. It's a pretty decent zoo.
Yeah.
My only complaint is that it's built into a hill, so to get from the like the start to the finish, you like basically like have to climb up so high. And it's like you're tired at the end.
There's nothing like a little bit of exercise every now and again.
Yeah. Like
Especially in the rain and on slippery roads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like trying to walk Kirstenbosch. Ugh.
I think
Kirsten
nothing
Bosch
was
is
slippery hill.
amazing.
What did you say, Evan?
I said Kirstenbosch is amazing.
Yeah, but like try walking up the hill, like
I
all
have.
the way
I like
to the top of Kirstenbosch.
I have. I like it.
Ugh. Well, you're weird.
No, I
We
like
know-
walk.
We've established that you're weird. Shut up.
Established point, go away. I mean, like with respect to the sort of like the contact that you guys have. I mean, you guys talk daily, weekly, monthly. Do you have like a group of people that you kind of talk about this kind of stuff about? Have you guys sort of like already sectioned yourself off as like, these are those Northern Ireland furs, those are those ones over there, those are these guys over here, and possibly these people over here, but we're never sure whether they're on or off.
It's a very roundabout way of saying it.
There are a few like groups of like closer knit people, and it's usually based on geography. It's like, oh, you live near me, we're just going to hang out more often because we're near to each other and it's easier.
Makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, a lot of it is like I would know a lot of people within like 20-30 minute drive of here. Just because they're, you know, local, whereas there's people I know in Dublin, there's people I know in Cork, but I don't see them as often because it's a lot further to travel. I'd only see them like maybe if they have a Dublin meet or something, because that's sort of in the middle. Like everybody would get to it.
I just want to make a quick announcement. For those of you who are listening, we're speaking to Caenish. He's the, pretty much, I guess we could call you representative for the Northern Irish Furs. He pretty much organizes most of the small meets in the area. He also runs the Northern Ireland Forum. For those of you who are possibly from Northern Ireland and don't necessarily know that there's a furry sort of like group in that area, this is the guy that you should possibly be talking to, or anybody else within that area. But yeah, so again, we're just talking to him about like small meets, small lure communities, and how we get to meet each other and everything like that. Smaller, yeah. But yeah, so. Moving on from that, one of the things that I want to ask you is, I mean, like, ScotiaCon is obviously in Scotland, but so Ireland as a whole doesn't necessarily have its own con, even though that there are around about 82 people. Have you ever thought about trying to get people to, say, come to a sort of, what's the word, a consensus about where you would want to hold the con, and trying to get them to come to you as well?
I think with regards to a convention, it would have to be Dublin. It's the best linked. Pretty much buses and trains from all the major cities across Ireland go to Dublin. And of course they have an airport as well. You could, if people wanted to travel from further afield, it's a bigger city, so there's more choice, variety of places to host it. Whereas Belfast doesn't really have any good convention centres or like hotels that are built to have conventions. It's mostly just hotels with rooms and nothing else. So,
but, yeah, I mean, and it's an obvious question. I mean, the thing is that, like, have you ever spoken to the representatives from Ireland's side or from? You guys are Northern Ireland. What do I call the other Ireland? Just the other Ireland.
Yeah. I think it's full. Like, it's usually called the Republic of Ireland.
The Republic.
We've got Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, and the entire island is called Ireland. It's confusing.
Yeah, it's a little bit. But then again, I mean, we all know, or most of us might actually know the history behind that. Is there? There's no sort of like cultural bad blood between your furries and the furries from down there at all, or is there?
Not at all, no. That's not really an issue these days. It's never been an issue with the furries, but even with people, it's not really an issue.
Yeah, and with people like Wales and Scotland and England. What's the other one? There is no other one.
England, Scotland, Wales. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Like no sort of like intercultural differences that really kind of get you guys pissed off. Like, my God, why do you put your left sock on first instead of your right one? You're such a twat. Go away.
No, nothing. At least not from my personal experiences. There's nothing like that.
Except for for David Cameron scoffing at the Scottish.
Well, nobody likes him anyway.
Fair point.
But you see that's the kind of thing that like to an extent I kind of want to hear. Is that, I mean, like, nobody likes the Scots very much anyway. But then again, I mean,
nobody likes David Cameron.
Oh, yeah. Well, fair point.
What a toss.
Because I think it was, yeah, and I always quote this one every now and again when I speak about Scotland. Is from Train Spotting, where they're out in some field and something like that. They're saying, like, you know, what's it? Something along the lines of, you know, we're a country of tossers that have been taken over by bigger tossers. And we can't even defend ourselves to be able to do that. What the hell? Why do we want to be in Scotland anyway?
I've never seen that movie, so I can't really make reference.
You need to watch Train Spotting. It has one of the most...
Train Spotting is...
Yeah.
Where that track comes from that says choose life, choose a job, choose a career.
Okay.
If you don't know that song.
Sorry,
Who did that?
Yeah.
for some reason I was thinking the one from Fight Club. This is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time. That thing.
Mm.
Oh well.
I guess maybe they were made sort of similarly.
Perhaps. Or
Perhaps.
whatever. I wanted to
Comment
say something,
from...
but
Sorry, go. Scratch.
no, I wanted to say something, but I forgot about what it was. Like,
Okay.
my brain
'Cause-
is not right.
Yeah, pretty much what I want to say is that somebody from the Peanut Gallery mentioned that they really love Caenish's accent.
Oh, really? The chat doesn't work for me. It doesn't. It breaks.
There's a Peanut Gallery person from sitting next to me, so he kind of mentioned it in the off
Oh.
while he was making
Okay.
food. And he's like,
It was Doge.
Hi, Doge.
yeah, it was Doge.
Yeah, he's resident commentary.
Yeah, but in Scotland, a question about the accent though. Is there a difference between some parts of Ireland where you would get different pronunciations of some of the words?
Oh yeah, you definitely would have that. Like, say, I'm trying to think. Like 10, 15-minute drive, you'll get even from here, you'd get a completely different accent. It just
That's
sounds
so
like
weird.
there's like so many different varieties. Like along the north coast, you've got one. The west coast has one. Dublin has a different one. The more south you go, the more south you go, people sound more like leprechauns than anything. Like the stereotype. It does exist, but it's more in the country.
Oh, Faith and Begorra, that whole thing.
What is it?
Faith and Begorra, that thing.
Yeah, that would be more in the middle of nowhere. You'd get people talk like that.
It's funny how like the sort of the middle of nowhere accent is the one that people latch onto the most, not the one that's more predominant.
Mm. I mean, like, if you listen to Jacksepticeye, and wow, yay, we're mentioning gamers again. But if you listen to Jacksepticeye's accent, there was a point that his accent was very, very, very similar to Caenish's, but he obviously started augmenting it back towards the more, because he sounded very American for about like briefly in some of his earlier videos, but as he was moving further on, he sort of started doing the top of the morning to you laddies, and you're gonna sit there going like, oh my god. And he became extremely excitable.
Yeah, well, his work exposes him to a lot of Americans because most of those Let's Players are all from the U.S. And like he constantly does those streams with Mark and Bob and those people.
Fire.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, that stuff rubs off. An accent rubs off faster than you can imagine.
Scratchy would know.
Yeah.
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 We have one Afrikaans person on this podcast, but we have three.
One person who sounds Afrikaans, at least.
Yeah.
That's me. They're making fun of me again.
They're not making fun of you.
Fun of my accent.
No, not at all.
No, couldn't be.
Stop being
Never
patronizing, Ivik.
Eh?
Stop being patronizing.
Fuck you!
I'm offended now. I'm offended now.
Oh.
I'm taking offense.
Okay. Just bring it back later.
Beep, boop, boop. Dialing the
But
WAN
you also, I've noticed this thing with you, Scratch, now that we're talking about the fact that the accents are different in Ireland, but 15 minutes is a little bit pushing it for me. But we have, like for example, if you have some people from the same culture, like their Afrikaans families, etc., you still get different accents there as well, but it's way further apart. Like our accent is a little bit different than what you would find in Cape Town. And the Cape Town people like to say ek a lot instead of ak, which is basically the Afrikaans word for I.
Yeah.
Or me.
It's less ek and ak. It's ek and ak.
Yeah, that's the sort of exaggerated versions of it. Oh yeah, I think the Joburg one sounds stupid. I'm sorry. And who says moor? Who the fuck says moor?
Smora.
Yeah, I know.
Mora.
Yeah, like
I don't know.
I've heard a lot of people from Joburg use moor instead. I'm just like, yeah, it's dumb.
That's basically morning. Or morning, for morning, or it actually can mean tomorrow.
No, but that's
Depends
môre.
on where you put it. Yes.
Fuck off.
Is môre, môre. Goeiemôre. Goeiemôre.
Go
No.
away.
Good morning. Good morning.
Fuck hello. That's enough. Just say hello. Covers everything.
So I mean, when it comes to accents and things like that, Caenish, I mean, like, have you ever met a person in Ireland that you probably couldn't understand when both of you were speaking English?
No, it's never that bad. Although I've had people like from like the likes of England who don't quite understand me sometimes. I think what
How?
it is that we speak very fast, I'm told.
I think we speak equally fast.
I can understand.
No.
the
You
talking
get
fast.
faster than the Caenish is speaking right now. I've seen that fast, but the English people can't freaking blame anybody because they don't pronounce their consonants sometimes, which is even worse because then it just sounds like nothing.
Cockney sounds ridiculous.
I don't know. But anyways, no, there's a lot of different. It's weird that the speeds differ as well with the accents. It's actually kind of strange because I know in Holland, as people always say, because Afrikaans is basically a derived language from Dutch languages. When the people say, "Yeah, you'll understand these guys from the Netherlands," no, you won't. No, you won't. They talk
if you ask them
way
to
too quickly.
slow down, you'll probably understand about.
No, you can read it, and you can. But if they talk, you can't understand what they're saying because they're talking too fast, and they're talking with a specific weird accent as well. But if you read it, or if somebody is talking slow, yeah, sure, but not general conversation.
I can sort of follow, like I've said, like 70% or between 50 and 70% of what they said you can follow, even if you're talking at normal speed. But we'll wait and see until I get up there.
Yeah.
I could just imagine like these accents and stuff that we're talking about in fursuit, because then you already have like a piece of thing in front of your mouth and you sound like
muffled way of actually saying it most of the way, and you kind of sit there going like, okay, I think I can understand what you're saying. No, I can't.
I think that's why the whole squeaking thing is actually a good option.
Squeak, squeak, squeak.
Yeah, I don't even know squeaker. I need to do this properly. No.
No. that sounded like you treading on a bird.
Yeah, I'm doing my bird calls. We apparently have a large amount of crows around here.
It sounds like you were treading on a bird. It's not a bird call. You were stepping on one.
Oh goodness! Now I know exactly what I'm gonna do the next time I go to the mall.
But okay,
No.
at least I live like 1,600 kilometers away from you. So
I'm just gonna walk along like one of the corridors and randomly just like make that noise, but with every footstep.
Okay. Yeah. See how quickly you.
I can't afford squeaky shoes, so I might as well just do it myself.
Yeah, good luck with that one, Patch Adams.
I'll get my nose.
Ugh. God rest Robin Williams.
So, Caenish, I mean, obviously now we've gone over the whole sort of accent thing. I remember we had you on before, and we asked you about like the amount of Gaelic that people still speak in Ireland. Have you ever?
Do you know?
Nobody really does. There's a small pocket here and there, but largely it's the sort of thing, particularly in the Republic, everybody's taught it. Nobody wants to learn it. It's like, this is our culture, you have to learn it. And it's like, no. Whereas up here in the north, it's more optional. And I did it for a bit. It was just like, this is pointless, so I stopped. It's like, why would anybody want to speak this language? Nobody uses it.
Yeah. No, I can understand that.
Does learning the language actually affect your accent at all? Do you think?
I don't think so. I think it's just, I don't know. Like I say, it's just a thing they tried to do just to say, look, this is our culture and you need to learn it. It's like, can you teach us something useful?
Have you ever met a first language Gaelic speaker?
Nope.
Gaelic first language. Wow, that would be weird.
Yeah,
Like I say,
Yeah.
I think there are some towns that largely are, but there's few and far between.
Probably
Do you
Paris.
have talking about that now, a little bit different and a little bit more to the people in your community? I'm wondering if there's any furry that themed himself after the clover leaves, like having clover leaf marks and stuff on him, because it's like a thing.
That's like the sort of the stereotypical identifier almost.
Or a green Ireland furry.
We have a green fox, but that's about it.
Oh,
There's no
I think
clover markings or.
That's the weirdest thing is that, like, you know, Ireland has apparently one green fox, and South Africa has at this point something like 3 or 4 green green themed characters, including myself.
Then again, we don't have anything themed after the rainbow colors, like the actual flag, like we have.
yeah, the actual flag. Oh no, we don't.
Yeah, nor do we have
but
a springbok furry.
Umi, yeah, that's actually pretty weird. But Umi stands around in an anthracon with a South African flag.
The fact that he's
I would
been
wear it
there
as a
makes me,
cape.
yeah, the fact that he's been there makes me incredibly jealous.
Oh, Umi was actually at the meet last week.
I heard he met you.
He's an interesting man. Very berry.
No, of course. His beard's longer than mine, dude.
His hair's longer than yours, and yours is becoming really long, Mushroom Head.
Yeah, it's getting pretty Def Leppard up in here.
Yeah. So, Caenish, when it comes to local bands, what kind of local bands, or do you have any furry local bands, or anybody who's like a furry who's actually in a band that you know of? Who then says,
Nope.
like, Mike, I am a furry, bitches.
Nope, really to both those questions. I think the only local band you could talk about would be Snow Patrol. I think they're from like Bangor.
Oh,
Which
but
is
Snow
like-
Patrol is awesome.
Yeah, they're I guess they're local, but past that, I can't think of anybody from here that's any big. Any big? Well, even is that? That's not English. Any? What? I don't even know what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
Internationally well known.
Yeah, that's the way to say it.
Dropkick Murphys.
Dropkick
Nah.
Murphys are from...
I'm asking. Like, I don't know.
Aren't they
Oh.
from Boston?
I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't exactly call them big. I never really. I've heard of them, but not really. I don't know.
But do you have any musicians that you can that you know about in your community? Because that's a thing that I noticed with the furries in South Africa is that you'll find a hell of a lot of people that would actually be in some kind of art form. Where almost every fifth guy, somebody that you meet in the fandom, would either be an artist, or he would make music, or he would play guitar, or he would write
Be a writer, yeah.
poems. Or be a writer on any other thing like short stories or whatnot. It's really weird that it's that creative. You don't normally get that. Like, for example, I'm part of multiple communities, and most of the other things, they're not as creative as the furry fandom, which makes it actually kind of weird for me in a way. It's actually really special in that way.
Yeah, there's a few artists, and I guess with regards to music, like I tend to screw about myself with music, but I wouldn't really call myself a musician. It's more of a hobby.
Yeah.
As for other people, I can't really think. Yeah, I mean, like, the obvious one is art. There's a lot of artists. People, digital art usually as well, but there's
Do you
quite
art
a
at all?
few. I can't. I just can't. It's
Do you write?
I guess now and again, but nothing like serious really. It's just sort of I can and I do sometimes, but I never really find inspiration, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Whereas with music, it's the sort of thing you can just sort of sit down, like screw around with an instrument. It's like, hey, that sounded good. I'm going to record that. Whereas with writing,
then
you
you
can't
forget
just sort of
the
throw words together.
Yeah.
What is it?
Then you forget the entire chord progression. They're
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is sounding awesome, and done. And that was, yeah, go.
I was at a Amaze Joburg a while back, which is like this basically I wouldn't know what you call it, sort of an exhibit of games and playful media kind of stuff. All very like video gaming, arty-farty, but it was really fun. And the guy who made the music for Minecraft, C418, he was actually there, and he sort of gave a little course with a demo version of Ableton Live of how he goes about his his creative process, which was basically pull in some samples, screw around, and if it sounds good, then save it. And that's to me that sounds like it seems to be becoming a theme, or at least it is a theme among like music people who make music.
Yeah, that's how you do it. You have to get your inspiration from somewhere.
It's like writing poetry. Write down a whole bunch of lines, look at them, say that they're good, say that they're shit, change things, and put it back together. And you're like, cool, that's a poem, good.
But now that you mentioned that you forget the chord progression, it's normally what happens is you would make something and you'll be like, wow, this actually sounds awesome for that day. And the next day you wake up and then you listen to it again and you're like, what?
Was I drunk?
Was I drunk?
Scratch, that's how most of our things happen.
What? Waking up and asking, was I drunk?
Yeah, no, more along the lines of like, what was it, when we made that car in, Need for Speed Underground, that very first time when we were drinking vodka. Mm-hmm. And we were like hyper drunk at the time.
Yeah.
We woke up the next morning going, holy crap, how did we come up with something this awesome?
Something this awesome, like I kind of remembering, I remember it looking like at the end of an action movie when it ran through every single fruit stand in the city.
It did look like somebody vomited rainbows on it, yes. Pearlescent rainbows at that.
Yeah, gross.
Mm.
But yeah.
So, I mean, like, so, Caenish, you do a little bit of music then?
A little bit, yeah.
Maybe the Nutcracker Suite?
No, it's more just sort of screwing around with instruments and then deciding, I like that, so I'm going to record it. And occasionally joke music.
Any like SoundCloud profiles or something?
I have some stuff in my FA.
Okay.
Which I think I can link in.
Yeah, we can
just Caenish. Right?
It's just Caen. It's just it's basically that. Whatever the FA thing is, like /user, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll put it on chat.
Cool. It's awesome.
What type of music do you like, though?
You do have a SoundCloud.
Yeah, but I don't use it anymore, really. It's like I uploaded a few things to it, and it's just like I can't be bothered uploading stuff.
Butt Taco, Man Love, and Thing 4.
Yeah.
How's Butt Taco?
They're all very silly. I would recommend listening to it with a sort of pinch of salt. It's not meant to be taken seriously at all. It's sort of like this is music with really stupid lyrics.
Can't be worse than what's on the radio.
Yeah, I suppose.
Listen to Butt Taco eventually.
Why don't you play it as an outro?
I'll try, I suppose.
Yeah, actually,
we have copyright
we should do that. Play that we'll play Butt Taco as an outro. Just there are no sort of like explicit things in that song itself, are there?
No, there's no swear words, although there's a lot of sort of implied things.
Oh.
But there's nothing explicit, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
just make sure that when you play it, I know it's your song and whatnot, but remember this is going on YouTube, so the song is stuck then.
Yeah,
I don't think
we'll put down the
fine.
first few seconds of it.
Okay, honestly, apparently, Doge is listening to it right now, and he's been giving me this like really, really sort of worried look, and been going, no.
Okay, well then we'll leave it up to the listeners to check it out then.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at his face right now. It is horrifying.
I'm assuming not in a bad way, just like in a we
No,
can't really play this.
he loves it, but he's canning himself really badly.
Alright. Alright, that's a good sign.
Yeah, that one I wrote, but my friend sang it. Most of them are like co-written between me and my friends, but that one I will take full credit for it because it was just my masterpiece.
Magnum opus.
Yeah.
Everybody, Caenish on SoundCloud.
No, on
Butt
FX.
taco.
This is on FX.
No, it's on a SoundCloud. Butt Taco is on a SoundCloud.
Okay. This is
Sure, link it in the description, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Feel free.
Sure. Are you looking it up, or should I just check it?
Yeah, no, find it. Are those marimbas?
Steel drums. Are you talking about butt taco?
Steel drums.
Yeah.
Oh, is it those steel drums like the one? Yeah, those things are awesome. The sound on those things are awesome.
Oh God.
Yeah. Are you listening?
It's amazing.
Thank you.
It actually, you know what that song reminds me of? Because I just heard like a couple of lines from it. What in the butt? In its own way.
Yeah.
You should make a
Self-taught.
music video for it, much to the same sort of vibe as that video. That'd be awesome.
Well, I mean, if you listen to the lyrics, it's not really saying anything naughty. It's just describing how to fill your taco. It's like, what could you possibly take from that that's, any other meaning than, how to, like, fill your taco with meat?
I see where you're going.
Yeah,
That's
it's clearly, it's
Yeah,
just,
filling
it's
taco
perfectly
sounds like a great
acceptable.
idea.
Very PG.
PG-13 maybe.
What's PG-13 about a taco? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think it's, it's suitable for audiences. There's literally nothing. It's suggestive, but there's nothing much else to it.
Shit,
I feel like I'm high right now. What the hell?
I'll give it a listen when we're done here. Can't really play it over anything else right now.
No, I know, and I'm hearing it from the phone, and all I hear is just like, oh. Okay. So,
Damn it, focus.
trying. Just give me 2 seconds.
I've just completely derailed this, haven't I?
No, not derailed. Just like I've breaks occasionally. Like just restart and give him some time.
Okay.
Are you done rebooting?
No, maybe.
Are you back? Fucking hell, man.
So, those of you who are listening, Butt Taco, a very awesome song. You should listen to it. You'll probably can yourself for the next 15 to 20 minutes. It is awesome. Done by the wonderful Caenish. Those of you guys who are into music like that, please go have a listen to it. I'm pretty sure, what is it? A lot of your songs are around about the same sort of vein, or how?
Yeah, they're sort of something similar. Yeah, it's sort of electronic, I guess. With a, it's largely like rhythm based as opposed to like complicated melody stuff. It's more just like this is a pretty groovy rhythm.
So sort of like slow version of the Venga Boys.
Ugh.
Not quite, but I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Don't mention
Um,
the Venga Boys to me.
Sorry. Scratch, go.
What? What was it?
Just ask a question.
The hell, dude? What the hell, man? Are you like breaking or something?
I am broken, dude.
Oh my god. Apologies.
No problem.
Like technical difficulties with him. Caenish, like you mentioned that like at ScotiaCon there were like a few 30 or so 100% people in fursuits.
Mhm.
Have you ever sort of looked into buying one? Like, what's the availability of one in, I don't know, like the greater UK? I would assume London it's a bit easier, or England itself, but like over where you guys are?
I actually have a partial of a German Shepherd,
Ah, lucky you.
but they aren't very common around here, as far as I know.
What do they go for? How much?
Well, I got mine second hand for about 300-400.
Pounds.
Yeah, pounds. Yeah,
Oof.
but you could pay a lot more for a brand new one, and then a full one, easily even more.
I would very much imagine. How far partial is it? Like, how far up the arm?
It's not very far, like sort of halfway up the forearm.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, about halfway up the forearm. There's no beak paws. There's a tail, and then there's obviously a head with it.
Mhm.
But it's just like head, paws, and tail.
For over 300 pounds.
Yeah, but they aren't cheap. Like,
Yeah.
plus I had it
Guess,
like was shipped from America,
So
so
expensive.
yeah.
guessing with the shitty weather that the UK and the rest of Europe as well have, I'm thinking like that you guys prefer having most of the fursuiting events that you guys have indoors, because I mean the rain and stuff can probably ruin that.
Yeah, the weather doesn't really let you go outside much, especially in fursuit.
Yeah, no, I'm actually kind of considering, because it's so hot here today and it's winter time there by you guys, that the last place in the world that I want to be right now is inside a fursuit.
Yeah, it should be hot as hell. Like, I can just imagine, given how muggy my room is right now already, with just like the doors and the windows closed, I cannot imagine how it has to feel to be in one of those things right now.
Yeah, so you guys are actually lucky. You live in a place where it's a little bit cooler.
A bit more temperate.
Actually, quite a lot cooler.
Yeah, I guess that's an advantage, but again, you're sort of stuck inside most of the time, so it can get quite warm inside.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
Is
The weather is a disadvantage. The
that-
rain.
Is that where the great Irish tradition of drinking came from? Just being stuck
Because
indoors
there's
the whole
nothing.
time?
Yeah, because there's nothing better to do, I guess.
Alright. That's one mystery solved. Oh. Yeah, and we just kind of do it to get away from the heat, I believe.
I see. There is a picture of you on for Affinity in suit.
Oh yeah. There should be a few in amongst all of the silly music.
Yeah, Gyaku Uzuki actually has a picture of you. That suit is pretty
Yeah.
awesome, actually. But obviously you're a dragon, so you're what? Dragon in German Shepherd's clothing.
Yeah, it was just I wanted a suit because it's like it's fun to wear them, but like to get my own custom one would be super expensive. So that's why I just went for
Yeah.
what I went for.
I so badly want to get one, but it's so expensive. And I actually have to like spend money on other things that are more useful or, like necessary, like food and rent.
Yeah, those are sort of necessary.
Fuck rent.
Well, I mean, speaking about rent, I think if I'm not mistaken, and he's actually told me about this before, but Caenish actually bought a house recently.
I did, yes. It's not finalized, but come 29th of January, the keys will be in my hand, and I will have a house that will be mine.
Lucky you.
Which is like, yeah, it's the one thing about here is like the house prices are reasonably cheap compared to the rest of the UK. Versus, I don't know why, but I'm okay with this.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's sort of a crisis going on in London and like the greater of England because house prices are basically being driven through the roof by like property moguls more so than anything else.
Yeah.
No one can own a house there anymore.
Well, then again, I don't actually think that anybody can own a house unless they've been, like, I don't know, given a substantial amount of money these days. I mean, they're having a similar problem in America. It's a similar problem in most first world countries, where buying a house actually becomes a liability beyond, just owning it.
Beyond being rich.
Beyond being
Yeah.
rich. And it's not even about being rich. I mean, the middle class is supposed to be able to buy things and do this and do that, but no. Anyway, moving on from politics before we get too deeply entrenched into that.
We're moving on to what? Pass the ball.
Sorry.
Doesn't have a giggle fit now.
No, dude, do you have any idea how long ago I've had a giggle fit?
5 minutes ago. You told me to take over.
But yeah, look, I mean, obviously, like, Caenish is quite creative. I think that would be the term. One of the things that I actually saw, I was looking at a whole bunch of stuff off the Twitter feed the last time we had you on, and one of the people asked something about farting on there. What is your connection with this?
What?
Yeah, like it was. No, I'm absolutely serious.
What?
It was you'd retweeted one of our things, and somebody had there was a very very small conversation about it on Twitter. I can actually find it. I will probably be able to find it. Just give me a couple of seconds.
What?
Yeah.
I'm lost.
You should be.
Me too.
How in depth was our discussion on flatulence last time?
Well, it was very very in depth.
Was it truly?
Yes. Let me view this conversation.
Oh boy.
Zuki asked, "Did you fart a lot?"
What?
Oh.
This is so out of left field. Why? What? How? I have so many questions.
Yeah, and then he responded with, "No, it was good," and actually talked about Northern Ireland furries community. So, what is that connection? Why exactly? This is obviously an inside joke.
Yeah,
It's we just have a very lowbrow sense of humor. That's all that needs to be said.
yeah. Well, think of it this way. We spoke about this last week. That basically there was an entire musical sequence in The Lion King specifically dedicated to farting. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's universal humor.
Yeah.
Some people call it lowbrow. I call it like pitching to the lowest common denominator.
Yeah, but somebody said we said that the Lion King was good humor, and then it had good humor. And what was that discussion about again, Ivy?
We were talking.
And then
about
somebody said that there's no it's because there's no fart jokes in it.
That was me. I was actually mentioning that a good comedy doesn't need to rely on fart jokes to be funny.
And then we said, okay, well, that is actually pretty funny, because have you forgotten the whole musical about farting? And
Yes, that's exactly how the conversation went, yes.
We can't go down this road again. We're repeating material. Come on.
I think we've gone too far already. Let's... So,
Yeah.
I mean, and because you guys are such a small community, do you find that it's easier to get to know one another than it would be, say, to get to know the rest of the Irish furs?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I know everybody really well, but I would sort of know of most people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would
My
assume,
brain.
I would assume as much with the distance being a thing that, I mean, people are, as you said, geographically bound to the people closest to them, so same thing, I would assume. Because I know very few of the Joburg furs. Like, I know these two assholes, and maybe a few other people, but not a lot more.
But we're nice.
And we've both been in Cape Town, and we both lived in Cape Town for some section of our lives, at least.
Yeah.
Jeez, I spent how many years there? 11?
Something like that.
No.
Oh, sorry for you.
Yeah. What about 11 years in Cape Town, and you should feel sorry for me because I'm not there anymore.
I do. I feel sorry for all of you people who live up there right now, because
Cape Town's awesome.
Joburg sucks.
Cape Town's like Ireland in the winter.
Yeah.
Just rains and rains.
Yeah, well,
and every now and again, when the sun shines, it's fucking cold.
Yeah. Dude, I like that. It rains. It doesn't, throw iced golf balls from the sky like you guys get.
That only happened recently.
It happened. That's the thing.
No, it didn't only happen recently. It happened a couple of years ago, and it's happening every year now, ever since. Weird.
What do you mean? But that's the thing. Like, that's one of the reasons why I'm up here and why I went, even though it's like 38 degrees at any given point, the only time that I will ever acknowledge that it's summer is when the hail falls.
That's dumb.
No, it isn't.
No, it's summer when you go outside and the sun starts burning the living crap out of you. That's when
what
it's
happens to
summer.
my neck.
Yeah, that happens here as well.
I know this is a thing, and because the weather is so shitty there, somebody told me that there is actually a way, or there is actually something that happens in those few weeks of summer that apparently the UK gets. And apparently, like, I've seen like photos of people just sitting there in the parks and whatnot and tanning. Have you guys seen that before?
Yeah, well, the UK gets its yearly vitamin D supply.
Where everybody just adopts their yearly vitamin D supply in 2 weeks.
In 18-degree weather.
That's quite warm.
Caenish?
18 degrees warm.
Yeah, that's very warm.
Ugh.
It's currently about 1 at the minute.
God.
But it's winter there, just remember.
Yeah, I would kill to be in 1 degree weather right now.
No.
Yes.
I remember my sister actually at one point was talking about their English teacher who was actually from England, who, when it was something along the lines of, what was it? She said, it was about 14 degrees outside, and he would have all the windows open. He said, and he'd be walking around in a short sleeve shirt, going, "Goodness, it's warm."
Yeah, well, that's the...
Does that...
I mean, that's sort of, dare I say, is the English for you, but that's people from that kind of climate. You bring someone from Toronto here, in the middle of summer, they will physically melt.
Potteroo the snowman.
Yeah,
Snow-roo.
Yeah, if we ever bring him down here, he will just die.
He will become an ice cream cone and I will lick him all over. I'm leaving.
Yeah. Where did your brain go just now? What happened? Please put a filter on. Have some decency, man.
I have decency. That was decent.
Oh, please.
It was a decently well said joke.
By the way, I think it's time we should wrap up.
Caenish, are there any projects that you guys are working on that side for Northern Ireland furs, actually? Big ideas?
Nothing really. There's been a few attempts at planning weekend things. The Irish Furry Board recently got revamped. I didn't have anything to do with that, but it's now actually a lot better. The forums actually look nice and aren't full of spam bots, so that's a good thing. But yeah, there's no real big plans as such. Just see what happens.
Yeah.
No Patreon to plug on here, or... Well, I mean, you can always start a Patreon now for your music.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be... It's more of a hobby than a thing that I would want to do that for. I'd rather do something more useful for the furry community rather than just, hey, who wants to pay me to make stupid music?
Yeah, that's it would be the same as me making something for my art right now. I plug in my tablet once every 2 weeks, if anything.
Yeah, that's me. And music is now and again I'll sit down and be like, I'm going to do something stupid, and then I do it. It's well, I'm done for a while.
Yeah. Creativity is sated until, the next full moon or something.
Something like that, yeah. It's like a sun cycle or something.
Yeah.
It's like a menstrual cycle, but not as dirty.
Yeah. A lot less painful.
Yeah, and less painful.
Birthing things from your mind vagina.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
I thought I was bad.
Whatever. It was
Anyway,
fun.
yeah, like Anpu said, I guess we're probably going to wrap up a little bit. Caenish, is there anything you'd like to say to your fans? Anybody from out there? Maybe if there's a Northern Ireland fur who's actually having a good listen, is there anything you'd like to say for them? Or if they want to watch the YouTube video, is there anything that you'd really, really like to say to them right now?
Hello. I think that's a good thing to say.
Done and done.
Yeah.
Shortest message ever.
Yeah.
Mm.
Short and sweet.
Yep, that'll do.
Mm.
Alright. Then
All right.
then
I'd like to
shoutouts?
thank, shout out to Arashi and Victor, Doge and Asbjorn, Anpu and Scratch, Caenish. Thank you very much for having for being on the podcast. Thank you for taking some time out from your side to have a little bit of some random chat with us and talk to us about your community and some of the things that you have sort of as ideas. Are you probably going to revamp the Northern Ireland like thing as well, or was yours already revamped?
It's more or less fine the way it is. It's basically just like the NI First page is just it like reposts the Twitter's like feed. The Twitter's basically where everything is updated, and then it just goes onto the website as well. There is a calendar actually as well on the website that sort of lists meets, but it's sort of iffy. It's just it exists, but it's
All right.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
No,
We'd also
thank
just like
you.
to give a shout out to Firststream and Furry FM. Obviously, without them, we would not be able to do this. Well, yeah, pretty much. We would not be able to do this as efficiently and as well and as sort of awesomely as we attempt to do it. But yeah, obviously, Furry FM or Furry.fm has a Patreon page out there. Is it Scratch? Do you remember what the link would be?
Furry FM. Just Google Furry FM Patreon and First Stream Patreon. Both of them should link you to the proper pages.
Yeah. So if you like the content of both Furry.fm and if you use Firststream, or if you're planning on finding a streaming place to actually do some of your own stuff, maybe Caenish might actually use Firststream to show us or to show the people that he's creating music and have people maybe interact with him a little bit, what kind of lines he would like in there. I don't know, make it a crowd thing.
Is your website open for international furries that isn't necessarily from Ireland?
I don't see why not. Yeah, I can link it in. Hang on a sec. I'll link it in your thingy. The chat on Firststream. I can almost talk.
Okay.
I can words.
There.
Cool. Sweet. Thank you.
All right. So have a look at that for those of you who either want to move to Ireland eventually.
Or just
Lots of-
visiting.
Yeah.
Just visiting.
Or just visiting. IrishFurries.com. They'll probably be able to. You would actually be able to figure out what's going on there and see if there's going to be a meet when you're over that side. For those of you from Germany who wants to go to Ireland, I know that Raven is in London right now, and she actually went up to Ireland not too long ago. So we'll let her know that the next time she's up that side, she should go and poke you hard with a stick.
Not too hard.
Not too hard.
I get angry. You don't
You can make
get
music
angry.
together.
Do you become green and bigger?
Shh. Nobody's supposed to know.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you guys all for listening. We really appreciate it when you guys have a listen to us And oh yes, next week we're going to be having another person from Ireland, but he's a person who's visiting Ireland. He's studying that side. Name is Doug. He's an otter. He's got pink hair now. And
Next
that's
week
all
I'll
you need
order
to know
back.
for now. We'll figure out more about him. And by Wednesday, we'll give you guys a very good sort of explanation as to who this person is, why we're talking to him. Because essentially, we've got Caenish, who's going to tell us about what Northern Ireland's about, and then next week we'll have him on to get his opinion on both the Irish furs. He's also from Luxembourg, and his parents are in China.
Wow. All over the show.
I think
He's
his
all over the
grandparents
store,
are.
so he's been, yeah. Hey?
Oh, nothing. It's just I think his grandparents are in China, but I think his mum is
Okay.
still in Luxembourg. I don't know. He spoke to me about it a few times, but it's hard because he does have people everywhere. It's just hard to follow.
But yeah, so we're definitely going to have a nice little conversation with him about, where or what the different types of furry groups are in certain areas. We're actually, what would be awesome is actually to figure out whether there is actually a growing furry community within China as well, or within the Asiatic areas, if he pretty much goes to anywhere else in that area, Luxembourg itself. And for those of you who are listening from Germany or from any of the German-speaking countries. Sorry. He also
Send me
speaks
cars,
German.
Audi.
Huh?
Send me cars, Audi.
Yeah. But yeah. That's next week's guest. But yeah, we'll let you guys know about what's going to happen by Wednesday, Thursday at the latest. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Caenish, again. Thank you, Unpoo and Scratch, obviously, for your contributions.
Salute.
And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Sure.
Cool.
Cheers, guys.
All right.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Say bye, Caenish. Bye, Caenish. There we go.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye bye.